Why? Considering all the important things in the world, why am I watching a movie instead of doing something else? And why did they name the movie with such a big sentence instead of a single, easy-to-remember word like The Matrix? Everything, everywhere, all at once. One of the highest-rated movies of 2022, an absurdist comedy drama film. And you know, it's kind of hard to notice at first glance, but the film was done by a group of independent filmmakers, as opposed to something large and enormous like Hollywood. And apart from this small difference, and obviously it's pretty modest out to the budget, it is compared to Matrix in some ways. For example, there are a lot of cool kung fu scenes, just like in Matrix, that are pretty ideal to keep the main audience entertained. But there is something else hidden underneath. Oh, sorry, my bad. Not something else, but a lot of things. Multiverse. The film takes place in multiple universes. Now let me continue with the summary of the movie. The story is about a Chinese family living in US, and they are supporting themselves by running a laundry business under their house. The film's opening scene shows us a chaotic room. In this room, everything is literally everywhere. There are sips all over the table, donut or bagel-like, as you please. Rings are on the top and back, and there are a lot of clothes tucked into large bags with a pair of Google eyes on them. Just before the event, if you remember, I handed out those Google eyes to you. Do you remember, right? And those googly eyes are basically art supplies that are mostly used in Europe, America, Canada. Kids glue them on silly sock puppets and stuff to inanimate objects, yes. And why am I telling this to you? Because eyes and bagels, they are very, very important in this movie. Now, our main character, Evelyn, imagine. She is seated at the table. And like the rest of us, she has her own problems. For example, her dad, who came to visit her from China, does not approve any decision that she's made so far, which basically adds up the problem that she already has with her daughter and husband. And the laundry business is not going so smoothly as well, and it's being audited by tax authorities. But things start to liven up right in the elevator of the tax office, when her husband's body is taken over by someone from the parallel universe. And it turns out that Evelyn can actually verse jump, transition between universes. Now we know that there are infinite number of universes. And a choice person makes create a new path in the timeline. That means if I say yes to your question, to the question that will you go out with me, if I say yes, there are multiple paths created. If I say no, that means there are other set of path universes are created. And in this respect, it kind of should resemble to you Marvel Universe. Loki series, right? But here, instead of Loki, we have a device attached to the ear. And by doing something completely random that wouldn't be done at that moment, transitioning between universes can be achieved. For example, Evelyn turns into an international movie star in a universe where she says no to her husband's marriage proposal, and stays in China. We have the protagonist, right? Evelyn, the main lead. How about the antagonist? This is a movie, we have to have one, right? In this movie, so what if we started seeing not one, not two, but all the realities in all universes at the same time? A person who experiences everything, everywhere, all at once. And that person in this movie is Joy, Evelyn's daughter. At first I thought, wow, that's an awesome power to have. But as I proceeded to watch the movie, I found out that that girl who experienced everything not in one universe, but in all universes at the same time, turned into a pessimist. She has lost the meaning of life. And to end her suffering, she puts everything inside of a bagel. For those who don't know, bagel is a donut, a symbol of destruction. And created a black hole that would end everything. Why? Why am I standing here? I was born here, but why? Couldn't I be an international movie star? Or, I don't know, a random American kid who glues fake eyes onto soap puppets? Of course I could. Of course I could, but when I ask this why question, only better things come to our minds. And no one imagines a universe where human fingers have evolved like sausages, right? Well, no one except the directors of the movie. And why, after 13.8 billion of years, in a universe like this, I am standing here as a human being? What if I was a rock? What if I was a rock in a universe where there were no living things? You see, in the middle of the movie, while daughter and mother are fighting and jumping, hopping between the universes, the pace suddenly slows down. And daughter and mother, they appear in a universe where they are two pieces of rocks. Joy, where are we? Mother asks, with telepathic powers, because rocks aren't supposed to talk, at least in that universe, and in ours. And while daughter and mother are fighting silently in that universe, daughter mentions the stupidity of people. That we are all small and stupid people. And this is what makes us. Throughout the history, we were sure that we were the center of the universe, and we tortured and killed people just because they claimed otherwise. Until we discovered that Earth was the one evolving around the sun, and the sun was just one of many, many stars in our universe. And it's still hard to understand that all of this happens in just one of many galaxies. Look at us. Every new discovery reminds us of one thing, that we are all small and stupid. Yes, the knowledge that she gained, of course, it benefited her, yes, but it also took away the meaning from her. Experiencing everything everywhere at the same time turned her into a nihilist who devoids and who thinks that the universe lacks meaning and joy. But if we look at Joy, at the antagonist, the evil person in this movie, we'll see that Joy is one of many, many young people. She is Generation Z, internet generation. Hasn't technology turned us into some kind of multiverse explorers too? And don't keep making those verse jumps when we just take our phones and swipe the screen just right before our eyes? We experience everything, everywhere, all at once. And this can have two consequences. First, whatever we do, we can find joy in it. just like Joy, the name the Chinese girl used in this movie. But ironically, the Chinese equivalent of the same word of her name means disaster. And this is the second consequence of experiencing everything, everywhere, all at once. And this brings people disaster, not happiness. Do you remember that I mentioned the ice and bagels just right before I started my speech? Ice and bagels, they are all the same, but quite the opposite, I'd say. Bagels, you see, donuts, it's just a circle and a hole in it. And the bagel that the girl created in that movie shows us that person has emptiness in it, and nothing can fill the emptiness inside of it. But eyes are just the opposite. It's like a white circle and a black dot. Yes, we may be all empty, but it is in our hands to fill that emptiness. That is the philosophy of the father of the movie. Wait a minute. Daughter, mother, they were the opposite, but here we have the middle ground, father. Father said, the only thing that I do know is that we have to be kind. So please, people, be kind. Especially in times when we don't know what's going on. And right now, we are in times when we don't know what's going on. It will be so as it used to be. And it's such hard times, the film, everything, everywhere, all at once, reminds us some existential questions like, what is the meaning of life? Or does it really matter? But instead of giving us definite answers like yes, no, or this, it responds us with a set of new inquiries that even if we don't know the meaning of life, we can find it with kindness, love, respect, and compassion. Why? That's how I started my speech today. So let me end with another one. Why not?